In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use expressions inside connection managers. Doing this, using expressions inside connection managers, allows you to make your package's connections dynamic. So every time you execute the package, you could have a different connection. You could be connecting to a different server, or you could be connecting to a different flat file. You're going to do this by using the SSIS expression language, and you're going to select individual properties inside the connection managers to change. One of the common things that you might do, and what we're going to do in our lesson, is to create a flat file that has a dynamic expression on it so that each time it loads, it has a different name. It's going to have a regular file name, and then tagged on the end of it, it's going to have the current date. So this is very common for places that do flat file extracts, and they might do one every day, and they might have the same name, but tagged on the end of it, they're going to have whatever the current date is. Alright, so in this example, we're going to create a flat file so that each time it loads, it's going to have a different name on as the extension. It's going to have employee count underscore whatever the current date is. So each time we load this, we'll say that this is loaded once a day, so it's going to have a new name each time we load it. We're not going to have to do anything because the expression is going to do that for us. In this flat file, we're going to have a list of all the departments and a count of how many employees are in each of these departments. So let's begin by creating a new package inside our Solution Explorer. Right-click on SSIS Packages and create a new. And we're going to rename it Lesson29. Okay, once you have it renamed, go ahead and confirm you do want to rename the package object as well. Right, and our first step is going to be to go ahead and bring over a data flow task. So from our toolbox, we're going to drag over a data flow task. And once you have that over, we're going to rename it DFT connection expression, just so we kind of know what we're dealing with here. Once you have that renamed, go ahead and add a new connection manager to the data warehouse version of the AdventureWorks database, a new OLEDB destination connection, and you're going to be using the AdventureWorks DW 2008 this time. Once you have that, go ahead and rename it just to say AdventureWorks DW 2008. Just a refresher, because it's been several lessons since we've gone through the full connection manager building. If you wanted to build a connection manager, this is the screen that you would normally go through. We have some presets that we've been using, but you select the server that it's coming from, and then you select the database that you want to use, and then you would test the connection. Just as a refresher of how to do connection managers. Our next step is going to be to go into our data flow task, and we're going to use an OLEDB source in this lesson. So go ahead and from your toolbox, bring over an OLEDB source. Once you have that over, go ahead and double click on the source to open the sources editor. We are still going to use this connection manager, but we are going to use a SQL command. So go ahead and change the data access mode to SQL command, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this query in, but you also have this in the book. So this query is going to get us the list of the departments and the count of how many employees are in each department. If you want to check out the column names, you can check out that in our source columns tab. That's all we need from this, so go ahead and click OK. And the only other transform we're going to have, or the only other task we're going to have, is a destination. So let's bring over a flat file destination. Remember that we're going to load this list of employees with the count of how many, or this list of departments with how many employees are in each department to a flat file. So go ahead and bring that over and connect that. Alright, so now let's create a new flat file connection manager so we can tell it where it's going to be loaded to. Alright, so again, let's build the new connection manager inside the destination, and remember how to do that. Double click on the editor and say we want to use a new connection manager. It's going to be comma delimited, so leave it at the delimited option there. And then we're going to name this connection manager employee count. And we're going to find the location for it, which is going to be the C Projects SSIS Personal Trainer. and we're going to call this employee count underscore. And you'll see why we have that underscore in just a moment once we get to creating our expression on this. We also want .txt because it's a text file. So now we have that created, or it will be created once we run our package as the new flat file. We also want to check the column name is going to be in the first row. That's still correct. And then these are the columns that we're going to be inserting. Okay, the connection manager looks good, so go ahead and click OK. And you can check out your mappings again because it's telling us we need to correct our mappings. All you have to do is click on the mappings tab and it automatically corrected it. Alright, so we're good here. Go ahead and click OK. Here's the new part. Everything thus far has been pretty plain Jane of what we've dealt with in the past and other lessons. This is the new part, building an expression on our connection manager. So to do that, we're going to first click one time. Remember this expression is going to be on our flat file, so we're going to select our flat file expression manager. And we're going to expose our properties menu by either pressing F4. You can press F4 to do this once you have it selected, or you can just simply click the properties menu. The next step is going to be to expand your expressions here. Because we have that flat file connection manager selected, it's only giving us the properties for that connection manager, nothing else within the package. And go ahead and click the ellipses on the expressions here. And then we're going to select connection string from our properties. We're basically, this list of properties here are all the different properties that are inside the connection manager that we're able to manipulate using the expressions. So set that to connection string. Then on the expressions column here, we're going to click the ellipses. And I'm going to copy and paste this expression I already have built, and then I'll explain to you exactly what it's doing here. Okay, so this expression, we have, if you remember from prior lessons, we talked about if you ever want to print a string, it's a little bit different than you would in T-SQL. Generally in T-SQL you do a single quote, and here we have a double quote, which is how you do it inside the SSIS expression language. You'll also notice that we have the double backslashes. The reason you do have to have double backslashes inside the string value here whenever you want to have backslashes. This is just one of the finicky things about using the expression language. If you have one, it doesn't understand what you're trying to do. So if you take a look here, I have two, but when I hit evaluate expression, it only prints one, which is what we want. So remember, anytime you need to do backslashes, do double backslashes. Then you'll see we're adding to our string here. We're adding the get date, which is the current date, and then we're taking the month out of the get date. So you're seeing that we're bringing back 4. This month is April. Then you see we're converting that date time to a string, because this column only, or this property only accepts a string value. We have to convert our date time to also work with our string that we have here. Then the requirements were that we have a leading 0 on our months and our days. So we have our month here, because it only has one digit, we're adding a 0 so that it has that one leading 0. So this is just kind of, you'll see this quite a bit sometimes within companies that they might require you to have, whenever you have a month, day, year, that it be 2 digits for month and day. So to do that, what we have here is we're adding a 0, and then we're saying write 2. What that is doing is, in case there's already a 2-digit month or a day, it's going to only bring back the 2 digits to the right. So just to make that a little clearer, you'll see that on our day here, it's 30, so it's already 2 digits long. It technically, actually, if we were to take off this right, it would show a 0 in front of the 30. But because of that right, it's only going to show the 2 digits. And then on the end here, we're doing the same thing. We have the day is using the same function that we have for month here, and then we also have the year function to bring back the year out of get date. And then we're converting that to a string that has a length of 4. And we're also adding the file extension on the end, .txt. So each time we load this, if each day we load this, it's going to change because get date is always going to be different for each day. So if we run this tomorrow, it's going to be May 1st, 2009. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click OK here now that we have our expression built. And I'm going to click OK. So just to review one more time how I did that. I selected the employee count connection manager, went into properties, expanded the expressions with the ellipses button there, selected which property I wanted to manipulate, and then went into the expression ellipses here to build an expression that will evaluate our connection string. Remember we said that the double backslashes is required whenever we're trying to say backslashes in an expression. And let's see, we'll go ahead and evaluate it just so we can see what it looks like. We are adding a leading zero, converting our date time to a string, and then we're using the getDate function so we can bring back the current date. We're also, like I said, we're using that right function to only bring back the right 2 digits. So if it's more than 2 digits, then it's only going to bring back 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute this package. Go into your Solution Explorer, right-click on the package name, and hit Execute Package. Alright, so we moved 16 rows. Let's go ahead and take a look at our flat file we created. Let's find under C, Projects, SSI Personal Trainer, and it was called Customer or Employee Count. And you'll see what it created. It said the file is employee count and the underscore the current date. So like I said, if we run this same package tomorrow, it's going to be May 1st, 2009. Let's take a look at what we did here. We didn't really do anything special with inside our inside the flat file itself, just on the name of the flat file. But you can see we have a list of all the departments and how many employees are in each. So that's how you use expressions inside of SSIS for connection managers. Let's go ahead and wrap up what we learned in the final slide here. In this lesson, we learned how to use expressions inside connection managers. Using expressions inside connection managers allows you to dynamically change the connections that you're using. So for example, you might, what we did in our package was we had a flat file connection manager, and we selected the connection string property so that we could change the name of the file each time it loaded, or each day it loaded. And in fact, this is one of the most common examples of how you might actually use expressions inside connection strings, inside connection managers.